Hey, it's Chrissy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5. Hey everyone, welcome in. It is episode 27. You are here with Amanda and Christy, and it is June 1st. So welcome to June. Summer is slowly kicking off here, and we are very excited to be here. And we are going to start with little updates for you. Christy, what is going on over there?
Yeah, I was thinking about what I wanted to share, and I was thinking about this magnetic bracelet that I bought, like maybe 5 years ago, and I never wore. I thought it was kind of like a gimmicky thing. There's this older fellow that sells them at this market that I used to go to at Candle Lake every year. And he sold a bunch of them. And I just kind of thought, it's not not a very pretty bracelet. And I just wore it for a bit and I was like, I don't feel any different. Cause he said it's supposed to help with inflammation. If you have arthritis, pain, and it's supposed to do something with your blood. And I was just like, I don't know if I believe that. So I just kind of threw it in the cupboard and kind of forgot about it. And I've done some research on it. And of course, scientists are like, no, magnets don't do anything, of course. But I feel like they do something to the body. And I've had problems grounding. I've always had problems grounding. Amanda, you can relate to this, trying to ground me in. I'm like a balloon. And I try to really tell my clients to ground themselves in. And then I felt if I can't ground myself, how am I supposed to teach them how to ground? So I was like, I got to figure this out. And I had the idea to go dig out that magnetic bracelet and just try it out, put it on. And I was reading that it takes about 6 weeks for it to actually feel the full effects. And it's been, I would say, probably about 4 or 5 weeks now. And I can feel way more grounded with this bracelet on, which it seems so wild, I know, but it's just it definitely shifted something within me and the way I'm grounding to the earth. And I don't have achy joints anymore, because sometimes my joints, my knees would ache. So I was like, well, that's kind of odd. It's just very subtle. But I also started researching about your feet and how your feet ground into the earth. And when I would stand on the side of my foot. So my feet aren't actually both on the earth. So I started doing some exercises with a tennis ball, massaging my feet out and just getting them back to a good spot, where they are flat on the ground and I can feel totally connected. And that was also a game changer. So it's, of course, important to talk about the visualization of connecting to the earth and to Mother Gaia, of course. But there's also the physical aspect, our tuning into our physical body, not just the energy of it as well. So I learned something new and I feel more grounded. And when you feel more grounded, you're not so flighty. I'm not as anxious. And I just feel like I can move through the day with more grace and ease. So that's what's been going on with me.
That's awesome. I'm really glad you're feeling the effects of that.
Yeah.
It's funny. You are like a hot air balloon. When we've had sessions together, it's funny because, your crown is so active and stuff. It's almost like you get swept up away in it. And it's tethering you back down. It's almost like I see a big rope and I'm trying to tie you off so you don't float away.
Yes.
So that's good. I'm glad you're noticing that. I find that, so we got those grounding sheets for our bed. Mm-hmm. And I am wondering, how much of this am I really noticing it? Or is it placebo? Am I just thinking it's working? So it is. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I still like it on there. So I'm going to have it rather than not have it. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I guess for updates, I had a really interesting session not long ago. And it was funny when my client came, I started just profusely sweating. And how we say when spirit kind of comes in, it can change your body temperature. And it made me feel like, God, I'm going to have to shower after this. Like, what is going on? I think there's someone here maybe wanting to connect. And I sent my spouse and my baby, because people come to my home for Reiki. I sent them upstairs because I new client. I just was trying to be as professional as I can be, right? And Todd said when my client was down here and I was doing Reiki, the lights in our room were like flickering really bad.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because like spirit came through hot and heavy, and we ended up having a very good mediumship reading during the Reiki session. But I thought it was really funny that he was having his own experience upstairs while I was kind of channeling in the basement. So that was pretty neat. I'm still trying to strengthen that gift. And there was a lot of crying on my part. I think I cried harder than my client. And I know, like Patty said, we should welcome that in. But like Christy and I just saw a medium recently, and we're interviewing her right away. And this lady does no crying, and she's awesome. And I'm like, I would love to get to that point. I know crying is beautiful, but I don't know. I don't know if I need that every time. Hopefully I can come to a place, a good, like, balanced place would be nice with that. But I'll keep practicing it and see what happens.
Yeah, I can totally relate with that feeling that comes in. It's like a rush, and you can feel it. You can feel everything, and you just don't know what to do but to cry in that moment. And I don't know if that's something that we can practice like later on, like maybe with spirit, like, hey, you don't need to show me how you feel. Like we can kind of like damper that a bit, or maybe we like to feel all those feelings. I don't know. It's just,
yeah. I guess right now feeling them is validating for me. So
yeah.
it's like I don't want to give that up yet. Maybe there'll be a
Yes.
time where it's like I don't need that part of it, hopefully.
Yes. No, that's amazing. I'm glad that somebody came through, because so much healing happens when our loved ones show up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, agreed.
Yeah. So what's going on with the moon?
Yes, let's get into the astrology for June. Okay, so we have a new moon coming up in Gemini.
Your birthday season.
Woohoo! On Thursday, June 6th. Yes, Gemini season, my fellow twins out there. So the new moon, which is in Gemini, which is also an air sign, might have our minds racing this go around. We might even feel a sense of stress and overwhelm. Gemini is the twins, which can help us harness all sides of the coin and seeing things from more than just our point of view. So it would be wise to just keep yourself grounded in June, Christy. I feel like we might even be getting a ton of downloads into the crown in June at a high rate of speed. So especially those like who have their own businesses, it'd be a really great idea this season to just write stuff down and get our thoughts out there, and so they stay organized. And like if you're on the rebranding / healing path, get those lists going as well and see what this new cycle wants to bring in for you. So yeah, that air sign, it's definitely going to bring in a lot of thoughts and new ideas. I keep thinking of like the Ace of Swords. So it's like time for that new, and then the brain kind of, it can almost feel scattered with the Mercury ruling Gemini, and the way Mercury is right now, it could kind of feel like it's coming in hot and heavy. So just try to stay grounded, keep organized. You'll be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then on Friday, June 21st, we have a full moon in Capricorn, which is going to be our last full moon of spring, I believe. And they are calling it the strawberry full moon, which is kind of cool. There's really no rhyme or reasons for these names that they give these moons, but I think the moon can look a little bit more pink this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So Capricorn is an earth sign, so they're very practical, very scheduled. They're definitely family and career oriented. So this might be a good time to kind of analyze what's going on in those areas. Capricorn is also the devil card in the tarot deck. So might be time to break the chains of those things that aren't really supporting your growth in those areas. So if you're in a job that maybe isn't serving you, or you notice that your group of people that you're kind of surrounding yourself with aren't really serving you anymore, it might be kind of a good idea just to take note and maybe see what could kind of fall off to make me feel and strive to be my best self. You know, I know that's not an easy feat, but jobs that bring us down and we just don't feel like we're in our purpose, might be the time to just make little shifts and maybe edge towards goals and places that would make us feel better and more aligned. And yeah, that's going on for June.
Yeah, that all sounds like really good compared to like the astrology that we've been through, like in
Right.
April. Like April was intense. So I am fully welcoming these this new moon energy and this full moon energy. Now watch, I'll jinx myself and it'll be a shit show.
No way. It's going to be great.
Knock on wood. No, these feel like really like coming back home to yourself and just like finding out like what's important to you and just being grounded and just keep moving that momentum. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this all shapes out.
Yes. And let's talk about our episode today.
I'm super excited to share this guest with you, with Haley. We met her at the Foam Lake Expo back in March, and we couldn't wait to sit down with her.
Yeah, Haley does hypnosis, and obviously we'll get more into it in the episode. And I was going down a huge Dolores Cannon rabbit hole who does quantum healing hypnosis, so a lot of past life regressions and things like that. And I was really excited to talk to Haley about hypnosis. It's something that I want to go down here eventually. I took a hypnosis class. Oh, I need to apologize for something now that I think about it. There was an episode where I said, if you are taking a course that is really cheap in price, you might want to be weary on what you're getting, right? Well, I have to eat my words. So I took a Reiki course online that was very inexpensive, and it was so good. It was so good. I was curious more than anything, and I couldn't believe how well everything was put together and how well it was. So I'll just eat my words with that. I ended up taking a hypnosis course on there too, and also really good. But I do find with these courses, like you do kind of need an in-person mentor. Like if I wasn't already so advanced in the Reiki, I would have been like, well, now where do I start? Now that I know this, how do I start? So just there is that. Even with this hypnosis, like, okay, I have all the information. I have my certificate, so and so, but I still need to practice. And it would be good to have that mentor with you to kind of help guide those first few ones out. So luckily, Haley gave me the green light if I ever wanted to reach out to her, which I still might. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoy. Today's guest is another amazing human we met at the Foam Lake Wellness Expo back in March. Her name is Haley, and she is a certified hypnosis practitioner, regression hypnotherapist, and a certified hypnobirthing educator. She is extremely passionate about her work and dedicated to uncovering the root causes alongside her clients. Amanda and I are so excited to sit down with Haley today and talk all about hypnosis. So welcome, Haley.
Hi, thank you. I'm very excited also to be here.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known you when I was pregnant with my son. I bought the hypnobirthing book, but I mean, reading a book and then having an actual professional with me, it would have been a different ballgame. I ended up having a C-section anyways, but still, like, I just love the whole concept of hypnobirthing and hypnosis. And I don't know if people know this, they used to use hypnosis back for pain management before we had drugs to actually manage pain for like surgeries and things like that. They would actually put people under hypnosis. Like this has been around for a long time. It's so fun to talk about. I can't wait to dive in with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't know that. And even in like Australia, they have hypnotists in the dentist clinics to help with like fears and help with like some anesthetics so they don't have to get freezing and things like that.
Wow. We need that here. That'd be amazing.
Wow. I
Super,
feel like that's like ahead of our time, but also really old school.
right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Right.
So, Haley, just like tell us about like yourself and how you found hypnosis and the journey that you kind of started on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have always been super passionate about helping people, and I actually accidentally stumbled upon hypnosis. I was just a little bit intrigued, but I was only on maternity leave for not even a year yet. And was kind of looking around at things I can do at home. And I've heard hypnosis before and like experienced some, and was like, oh, that sounds really neat. So I actually called up a teacher and I was like, hey, I'm just curious, like this class has already begun, but your next class, she's like, oh, this is actually my last class ever. And so then I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you should sign up. So I did. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to my previous job. I used to be in car sales and we weren't able to find daycare. And my husband said, he's like, you have a total pass, like you can just be a stay-at-home mom. And I decided to take this route anyways, just because I was so passionate and like in love with the idea of being able to transform somebody's life and transform my own life. And I know transform is like a really big word, but just being always on this end of it and seeing the results is super cool. So yeah, that happened about a year and a half ago now, and I've done a lot of additional training since then as well.
That's amazing.
So, Haley, do you do self-hypnosis then?
Yeah, actually, I have used lots of self-hypnosis. I kind of added in as a daily practice. When I like have clients, we do packages, and I always do like a weekly homework kind of thing where I send them home with some new things to try, and I teach them hypnosis by the end of it. So they have their own tools to go home and use. So even with pain management, as I was saying before we even hopped on here, I actually just had surgery. And when I was having issues before leading up to it, I was using some of the hypnosis techniques that I've learned in my hypnobirthing training for my gallbladder attack pain. So it's really cool that you can use it that way. You can even use it to like drink more water, more self-care. And it's super easy now for me, but when I began, it was a little bit of a longer process. But even like meditations and stuff, I find myself just slipping into a hypnosis instead.
That's the best way, is it to get into that deep, deep, relaxed state, which is that state of hypnosis. Can you kind of tell people like what hypnosis is and like what state they're kind of getting into?
Yeah, so like it's not so much like a meditation. A lot of people think it is just from the language and everything. But the way that it works is if you go into just before sleep, so just kind of that stage right before, you might even know it as when you're really groggy in the morning or like just falling asleep. That's actually the brainwave that you get into in hypnosis. So that is our theta brainwave. And when we're in that state, meditation is just before that, and then sleep is just after. So it kind of helps go and directly access your subconscious mind, which holds all of your habits, your beliefs, everything you've ever said or done, felt, been told. And our conscious mind is actually protecting our subconscious mind because it's our more analytical or short-term thinking, things like that. So with hypnosis, your conscious mind, instead of focusing like it would in a meditation, we're allowing it to go at bay so we can access our subconscious mind directly. So it's very interesting there. There's like a whole bunch of different layers of where people go. So yeah, it's pretty neat to kind of see like all the different scientifical parts of it for like people who are maybe more analytical.
Yeah, there's a lot of science to back it up, that's for sure. That is so interesting. So what would somebody come to you that they needed help with? Like what do you help your clients with?
Yeah, so I have been helping people kind of all over the map. I haven't really narrowed down on a certain topic just because I find that mostly everything comes down to more somatic. So more so like if there's any illnesses or any pain, things like that, even emotional distress, sleeping issues, habits, they're all kind of rooted deep down, mostly in childhood, where these things have come to. So we actually don't even have a conscious mind until we are 7 years old. So anything we really get told before then is really impacting us. So I've had people come to me for chronic illnesses, pain management. I've had people come to me for sleep issues, anxiety, panic support, even addictions I have worked with. So it kind of goes all over. I've actually found where I've done some specialized training in fertility, and that's where I got my hypnobirthing as well, because I found a lot of my clients that were women, kind of around in their late 20s to early 40s, were really struggling with fertility, and a lot of it also was due to emotional impact.
So, yes, I've heard the expression, it's like the first 7 years of someone's life, that's when the subconscious programming is being done. So you are who you are from that 0 to 7. Like, show me the boy from when he's that age, and I will show you the man kind of expression. So you are tapping into that part, right? And that's the part that you're trying to almost rewire. Like, that's a really hard thing to do for people. It's really hard to like rewire that subconscious programming. So hence you taking people into that special theta state so they can go in and rewire. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, so it's like rewiring in a sense, but it's also to heal that part of them. So a lot of the time, it's not changing the story as what they were doing, it's more changing the support that they had. So you're more so healing the inner child rather than trying to completely change and remold and give them tools to be able to live without their illnesses or without their emotions that are really heavily weighing on them. And a lot of the time, too, when we see those and we really kind of don't know why they're happening, is truly rooted to something that might even seem so minuscule as an adult that didn't have a big impact, where it's like, oh, it did have a big impact.
Right.
I love that with healing the inner child. We're all about that with Reiki and incorporating that to help people. Like you said, it might seem so minuscule, but it can have such a butterfly effect on everything else. And especially for people trying to get pregnant, like there's nothing medically wrong. We don't know what it is, but just like uncovering those like energetic blocks. That's huge. That's a really good thing for people to know. I don't even think people probably know this is an option.
No.
Yeah, it's actually, I never even knew it was really like, I knew everything kind of helps by hypnosis. Of course, if you kind of do any healing, it really helps your overall well-being. But when I was doing it, I actually didn't have the additional training at first. I was just using different resources, my intuition, and these women were getting pregnant. So then just to get a little bit more extra knowledge and more insight and more of the backed up proof of different techniques. That's really interesting how it kind of molded to be able to help them.
You know, Haley, something else I kind of wanted to ask you was like Joe Dispenza really goes in and like measures those like theta waves with the brain, and he's all about manifesting. Would this be something good people could do to come to you to help them manifest? Like, could you, when you have them in their hypnosis, kind of help them guide them into like visualizing and sensing, like using more of their senses to help them manifest if they feel like they kind of struggle with it?
Yeah, so you actually use, like, everybody kind of calls it different, but I guess it would technically be manifesting in every session. A lot of the things that I do is like even imagining yourself releasing them, feel the emotional release, and then see what the outcome is after. So you see yourself in the future, you see how you will be, how you will feel, and that allows you to really kind of envision who you want to be, but also making that a reality, because your subconscious mind doesn't know any different. It thinks that those things are happening. So when you see yourself happy, you see yourself carefree, maybe if you're in pain before, you see yourself moving around easier, playing with your kids or your grandkids, and just having a better life, that really helps install that reality. because that is now what you're striving for. So there is like a little bit more of a scientific backing for those who might feel a little bit off with the wordings. But yeah, it's more of like, yeah, you definitely manifest who you want to be every time that you go in, which helps you directly do it to your subconscious mind. And then when you are actually in hypnosis, we come up a lot with affirmations and how to hardwire them to your subconscious mind. So it goes to a direct route. So then you can use it for your self-hypnosis later.
Oh, yes.
Is there like a key word you could associate that with? So when people hear that word, they're kind of brought back to that. Is that a thing?
You could definitely. So what I do is there's something called anchors, which is a technique that hypnotists use. And it can be something as simple as seeing the color yellow. If you have yellow kitchen walls and you remember to drink a glass of water, or if you're public speaking and you get a little bit nervous, pressing your finger and thumb together and it brings you calm and at peace, and then you're not so anxious. Or every time you see the color orange, if you work in an orange office, you remember to unclench your jaw and relax your shoulders. So there's a lot of that will take you back to like a positive state where you can like remember, oh, I am calm, I am confident, I am this person now. So it really helps like really set you into the new person, and not so much even the new person, but just the better version of who you want to be, where you feel better.
No, that is interesting, just to be able to have that like ping where it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to make me happy, not like feel that sense of dread soon as you go into work. That is, yeah, and I picture like all these like little circuits like kind of coming together and making new ones. And yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting because I've researched a lot on, manifestation and of course like positive thinking, but then there's way more to it than that. Like you can't just think your way there. Like you got to go deeper into like the work that you're doing. So what do you say to people that say I can't be hypnotized?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to touch on one thing too about the conscious mind. So, and like doing things just by thinking, it takes you 300 times consciously and intentionally to do something in your conscious mind before it even starts to brink into your subconscious mind. So that's why it's super powerful to use hypnosis to
Wow.
go into that direct stream, because a lot of the time we don't work together very long. Sometimes, depending on the reason why individuals are coming, we sometimes work together only for 4 sessions. Some people are a little bit less, some people end up being 12. It just depends on the nature that they're coming.
Okay.
You said 300 times?
Yeah, consciously and intently. So
What?
that's how long it takes to form that new belief and that new habit, but it just starts to change it. So it's not even fully coming into a circle where you are able to have that complete new perception of it. It takes just 300 times to start to mold and change.
Oh, so what happened to like 30 days to develop a habit? That's kind of, or maybe not like a strong one.
No, it wouldn't be a very strong one, especially with people who are neurodivergent. It is super hard to form a habit, especially in 30 days, because people kind of do it and then they slowly fall off. And a lot of the times with habits that we really care about to change, so whether that be behavioral or health-wise or things like that, it really makes an impact because we're either putting a band-aid on it where it changes for a short-term amount of time, or it manifests into a different area of our life that starts to pick apart and fall apart.
Right.
Yeah, that willpower only gets us so far, and that doesn't really make a permanent ding. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Wow. So someone should almost listen to your recording after like 300 times if they were really serious about making a change.
Yeah, it actually doesn't take like even like an audio recording. It wouldn't take that long. It would be a lot
Okay.
less time because it's just doing it in your conscious mind that it takes 300 times.
Oh, Right. Okay. So doing the hypnosis, you're speeding that up because you're going right to the root to get that going.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Glad you clarified that. Thanks.
No.
But yeah, sorry, back to Christy's question. Sorry, we snowballed off. Yeah, what do you tell people who say they can't be hypnotized?
So I usually, when they have that conception that they cannot be hypnotized, they can't be hypnotized on a stage or in like the bar, or like people who go to the schools or work events that where they cannot be hypnotized in stage hypnosis, or even sometimes people don't believe that they can be hypnotized with me. And I tell everybody that you're in hypnosis every day. So, like I mentioned earlier, that just before you go to sleep and just when you wake up, that's a form of hypnosis. And in the Saskatchewan Driver's Handbook, if you read it, there's a part where it says, beware of nighttime drivers as they might be in highway hypnosis. So, highway hypnosis is when you're driving down and you're like, I don't remember the last 10 minutes or 10 miles or whatever. I am here. And so that is highway hypnosis, and daydreaming is also a form of hypnosis. So those are all like kind of the scientific parts, but there is definitely some reasons why people think that they cannot be hypnotized, even in a session for me. So I try to prep them as much as I can, being like, hey, this is what to expect. And sometimes they just think that it should be like a little sleep, or that they won't remember anything, or that their mind's going to be 100% focused. And honestly, even for myself, my mind wanders. I don't keep track of what the person's saying to me when they're hypnotizing me. Sometimes I think about something else. I move, I shift. Sometimes I do fall asleep, but I have not had very many clients fall asleep on me. But there's times where people think that it's supposed to just be like stage hypnosis, where you don't remember anything, and some hypnotists do that. It's not something that I do. I like having my clients remember everything, especially because I set them up with a lot of tools during their sessions.
Right. Yeah, that when you talk about like stage hypnosis, that always reminds me of like at the exhibition. Did you guys ever watch that where they did the whole like charade of and just like making people do weird things? And I didn't know that they could actually like intentionally you don't remember it, or you could remember it. That's interesting too. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's I know when I was trained, the person that there was a video from the ICBCH, and he said that when you do that, it's just kind of creepy because you don't know what triggers they have. I know I've had clients that went to a different practitioner, and no shade to them, definitely like they still did amazing work, but they're like, didn't get anything out of it other than, yeah, my issue might be fixed, but I don't know how it got fixed. I don't remember anything. I don't have any tools. It might have popped up somewhere else in my life. So now I don't have the coping or the tools to change it myself. And so they never had that. So that's why I always just kind of stay strong to, hey, like you will probably remember everything just as you'll remember our conversation.
Yeah. I would prefer
So,
that myself. Yeah.
so would the difference be with how deep you're taking them in? Like, so I guess for people maybe who don't know, so you guide them in to go into a very relaxed state. And would that be the difference? You're just not taking them that extra deep layer? And like, how long does that take for somebody to get into that state?
When somebody goes into hypnosis, there is not really different levels of deepness, because somebody who doesn't remember could be at the same state as somebody who does. They could go extra deep for themselves, but I've had some clients remember and some clients not. It's more so the wording that you give them. So if I'm telling you to relax, that you're like in a sleep state and keep saying kind of sleep, 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 your subconscious mind is going to put you into a state of sleep. Where you can still be conscious enough for the things to work, but then you go into a sleep-like state. But in mine, I don't use sleep at all. So I did experiment a little bit. I had a friend over and I'm like, let me try this with you. And I did do the like kind of 3-2-1 sleep technique on her, and she didn't remember anything. It was like she was asleep, but she was sitting in my chair kind of hunched over. So it is just kind of the way that you go about your sessions. And when I've done hypnosis on her before, she didn't go to sleep, but she remembered everything that I said, but still the same level of deepness. So that's kind of what goes on with there. For the amount of time that you're in hypnosis, I do put people into a more relaxed state with like a past life regression. So that can take up to just 25 minutes, getting them in a really good state of relaxation. But the whole hypnosis itself can last anywhere in a mini session from like 10 minutes to a past life regression where it can be 2 hours, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more.
When you're doing a past life regression, do they need to be in kind of that deeper state because they're accessing almost like a whole nother timeline?
Yeah, it's definitely recommended that they are in a deeper state as well. But it is kind of funny because they can get up in the middle and go pee or communicate. I've had people open up their eyes. They're like, I just need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I walk them up to the bathroom and then I walk them back down over to where we're doing hypnosis. And then I just count them down and they go back into a deep, relaxed state. It is better just to get kind of those past life learnings to just be a little bit deeper than other sessions and just to get them calm because a lot of people have kind of more of an anxious thoughts or what if it doesn't work, or some people are a little bit on the fence if they believe it or not, so they're a little bit more anxious that way. And if it's going to work for them, I think everybody that's come has been like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. What if I just make it up? And a lot of the time our imagination and our consciousness are the same coin, just different sides, and you never know where one begins and one ends. So it's just really interesting that you have to get them kind of in a more relaxed, but probably also they're just a little bit more tense about it as well.
Right. Have you ever like had an intention to go and heal something like in, say, inner child, but then you ended up in a past life? Would that ever happen?
Yeah, so that can happen. They can go into a spontaneous past life regression. So then you don't even need like the extra time to get them deeper. I know some clients that I'm pretty sure could do a rapid induction and they could end up in a past life. So yeah, sometimes there is healing. I've had people who we've kind of fixed all the stuff in childhood. We've worked on a lot of things, and I'm like, how about we just try past life regression? Just see what's kind of there, if there's any karmatic ties or if there's anything that has been affected or maybe you're carrying on into this life. And we have went, and then the issue's been resolved that they've come with.
Wow. That is cool.
So when you're doing a past life regression and you're giving them healing, can you talk a little bit about how that healing works? Like, do they just go in as the observer and then how do you heal that?
Yeah, so that one's a little bit different for everybody. So everybody's experience can be a bit different. A lot of the time when I do it, they are in first person and they feel everything that that person feels. We actually, as soon as they're in the past life, go down to see what they're wearing, what they look like, their surroundings. And then sometimes we find that we are in a life in between lives. So we're hopping around up in who knows where, kind of journeying around, dipping in and out, seeing different lives flash, different people that were in our lives. And when we do that, I find that a lot of people are in first person and not so much the observer, but sometimes you are the observer, just like in a regular age regression. Sometimes you're the observer, even though that you have lived through those moments yourself.
Right.
So it's more so of a protecting technique that your brain uses, more of a mechanism where you're kind of hovering above. So you're not fully in there feeling those emotions, because every time that we do a past life regression, we usually go from wherever you pop out. Sometimes we go before that, sometimes we're after that, all the way until that life comes to a close. And after that life comes to a close, we follow your soul up and we talk to guides, angels, source, your highest self, God, whatever resonates with you. And we ask them all of your life questions that you have and take all of it and talk about the healing in this life compared to this life. And it's really interesting to see, especially in that part. That's where the most insight kind of comes to fruition, because some people will be in our past life that follow us through this life.
Wow. It's like talk therapy, kind of. You're talking it out, you're making sense of what happened, and that would really bring the healing on. It's like this happened for this, and
Yeah, and it definitely comes after too. So I have some clients where our sessions are um, sometimes up to an hour less, because we talk about it after they come out of hypnosis. And some people are like, oh, I just need to take this all home and sit with myself and just figure out what happened. And yeah, they go home, and some of these learnings, I have one lady who I just adore. She messages me like even months after her past life regression, be like, Haley, guess what? Oh my goodness, this too. And I love hearing all the stories that just like pop up for months later.
Yes. Yeah, that can totally happen. You know, you go home and you start thinking about it, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this makes sense and this makes sense. And you start connecting all the dots and your mind is blowing. That's what is so fascinating about that work. Just so cool.
Right. And some people too, like will have, um, I know with like more so quantum healing, if you did a group past life session, there is times where everybody can kind of collectively have the same experience. More so in quantum healing, they believe that everybody's connected into the same consciousness, from my understanding. So it is a little bit different than some of the techniques that I use just with one-on-one past life regressions. So it's really interesting to kind of see that as well.
Yeah, that would be.
yeah, that is. And like you typically you record those sessions for them to take home and listen to?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do it right after. I kind of count them down into the most relaxed state that they will be in at that time, and I hit the record button, and they can re-experience it later and kind of get more perspective. A lot of people, I think probably about 90% of the people never listen to it again, but the people that do, they really kind of analyze it and go through it and remember things and journal, and sometimes even have like really crazy dreams to follow. And something too, you might have like physical responses as well. So some people don't feel really great after. Sometimes people like sweat or like just purging and releasing all the stuff that's kind of went on.
Oh gosh, yeah. Your body would need to, yeah, your subconscious mind would give your physical body a reaction for sure,
Yeah.
even though it's not obviously in this present moment. But yeah, wow, that's so fascinating. I would listen to that for sure and dive into that. And then I would hope that I would have dreams that I could even dive more into that. I'm just so fascinated with all of it. That is so cool. That's definitely something I'd love to get into, is taking people into more of that deeper hypnosis state. Like we'll access past lives in a Reiki session, Christy and I, but to go deep, deep like that, you would just get so much more than just like, I guess, like we almost kind of highlight the one part, but you would get like the everything that people maybe would want, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's super cool because I know some people just do it for fun too, and even the people that just do it for fun still have like some sort of insight in their life today.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, Haley. So a hypnosis session is not sleep, we've established. And it is not like taking a nap, although the odd person can fall asleep.
Yes, I'm like probably the person that I know the most that falls asleep. When I get hypnosis, I actually sit at my desk here and like put my hands underneath my chin just so I won't fall asleep. But I fall asleep in like Shavasana and yoga and like yoga nidra. I'm really bad for falling asleep. Probably being a mom of a 2.5-year-old. So
Oh, I know. I know. I definitely can understand that. Yeah. So people still like if they go for hypnosis, they're not going to have a problem sleeping at night.
No, they'll actually sleep better at night. They usually say there's kind of like a running thing that I've heard a lot of practitioners say that if it doesn't do anything else, you might feel a little bit better. You'll probably sleep a little bit better at night and maybe lose a couple pounds.
That sounds all right. Is there any profound stories you'd like to share with helping someone heal something, like just being part of their journey and just seeing like the end result? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, there is so many stories that I could really think about and that just completely astonish me. But some that I can think about right now is I had a wonderful lady. She had rheumatoid arthritis and she had issues with it for years. It was really connected to somatic, emotional, and I just actually touched base with her a couple weeks ago and we were talking and she said that the pain was 100% gone still, like
Wow.
no issues. And that was amazing to hear, to kind of see that something that Western medicine might not have been able to completely cure and relieve from the body, that was something that was. Um, of course, people who have been struggling with infertility has been really wild to see and just so like happy because people who might have been struggling, I worked with women from 1 year to 14 years, and to see them have babies, and some of them are now popping out those babies, so then it's even more exciting because I get to see their cute little faces. And I had trauma people with trauma and from even residential schools that have a lot of like that emotional PTSD, sleepless nights, things like that that are kind of more at peace with it, no longer having nightmares and things of that nature. Uh, People who have tinnitus and their ears, where their ears are ringing all the time, no longer have that. I have worked with people who have had panic attacks weekly, multiple times a week, who no longer have any panic attacks. Anxiety is usually a really big one, and self-confidence that I work with. I feel like it's so broadened now. Everybody that you talk to is struggling with some form of anxious thoughts or kind of nervous tendencies and things like that. And seeing them being transformed into like an outgoing person that's kind of carefree, spending more time with their family, their friends, having healthy boundaries, and seeing them really flourish is really amazing as well. And I work a lot too with, I mostly work with women. I do work with quite a few men as well, but just to see the people that kind of come through that become better parents, that become better siblings or friends, and they become nicer to themselves is such a big thing because a lot of the time when I have a client sitting across from me, they're just beating themselves up constantly, no matter kind of where they are. And when they kind of finish their sessions, they're like, I actually like myself. So,
Oh,
yeah, it's really just about seeing them become a happier version of themselves. That's so important to me. And that kind of makes everything worth it too.
That's so rewarding. That is so good. People need that healing. And that's one thing why I love to do Reiki is just to be one part of that. And hypnosis can do so much for so many people. It's
yeah.
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's super amazing. And I have worked with so many individuals now, and I have a few people who kind of always check in, and like I've made friendships along the way. And um, yeah, it's just really nice to like see who they were and who they are now, and like continuing to see them grow even like way after, and just knowing that like I was a part of their start to becoming the version that they are, and or maybe I helped them partway through the way, and I never really take credit for any of the work because I always say I'm walking alongside you. But then knowing that they think of me as such a big part of it, it just like warms my heart.
Yeah. That totally would. That would be like my why. Like, why am I showing up today? And who am I going to help? And that is like such a broad, like, spectrum of like what you can help people with. That's why, like, that is just so amazing. And it's been around for like so long. And it's funny, it's came up a few times, like, hypnotherapy for different things that I've been discussing, like with friends and family. And I feel like it's almost going through like a rebirth. Like a lot of the older hypnotherapists, like where I live, are all retired. And it's like now we're opening this door for like new ones. And just like with more like having a more open mind, like even connecting with the spirit guides and the past life and that part of thing. Like I feel like combining those two together is just would be so healing, like from like our perspective of healing. Like it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but like the broad spectrum, I guess.
Yeah, I'm following you.
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure everyone else is too. Yeah, absolutely. It is good. It is like a new wave coming in too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people too that I know, I mean, I do know people kind of on one side and on the other of like adding spirituality into their practice. And with probably I'd say like 95% of my clients, we really do harness a lot of spirituality and those forms of beliefs as well. And but I do find people like that are really coming around to that and are really being kind of awakened and listening into their intuition and feeling in and like being like, oh yeah, this is a somatic thing. And it's not just, a lot of people are like, I want to heal from this, and not just, oh, why is this happening to me? And that's kind of really inspiring.
That's key. I want to heal. I don't want to be the victim anymore. I'm over that narrative. Yeah, that's good.
That's super powerful. And I find too, like, I do know that there is more kind of coming around and doing this as well, but something that I really pride myself on, with also in addition to adding in some of the spiritualities, doing a lot of intuitive healing while I am in my sessions and while I am working with clients, because I know people sometimes think that it's like just the sessions, and they kind of come, but I'm really their support person from the time that they sign on until after. And I always like, in my technical terms, I'm like, oh, 30 days after, but I still talk to clients who I've worked with a year ago, and I'm just like, hey, I've been thinking about you. So it's just really nice to like build those relationships. And another thing too is some practitioners do this, but it's not as common as I wish it would be, because it would just be that much more amazing. But myself, I don't work off a script. I just do everything intuitively, emotionally, and like sometimes I like channel things and I just use whatever comes up. So a lot of people aren't doing that, but there is some people who do. I know my teacher who taught me, she does. And when I first started, of course, I learned off of a script, but very quickly, because I'm a very forgetful person, I would never bring them. I kind of threw myself to the wolves, and I just started doing what came from the heart. And I found that that has worked better for me than any sort of script out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes you like, what makes you really unique too, because you're like, you probably are channeling all that, like the script. And, touching in with clients even after a year or past that 30 days, it just shows how passionate you are about your healing, that you truly care and that you want to know how people are doing. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's super great. And I feel like a lot of the people that are surrounded in like I help facilitate a women's circle once a month. And a lot of the time I find I have met people through my work where I'm like, hey, you should come to this. And then we end up being like pretty goodly connected and we chit chat and we become friends. And it's just so amazing to just kind of like create true, authentic connections because I find that in a world of like where I was before in car sales, you didn't really actually have those relationships that are fostered and actual mean and like a genuine connection. So it's really nice to have that, especially like growing a village of people that you know.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot to say about having that type of community with you. Like I know we're slowly building one too, and it's just just having like those heart-centered conversations, checking in with each other, and I really really love that.
Yeah.
All right. So, where can people find you? And you offer online sessions as well if someone isn't local.
Yeah, I am local to Yorkton. That's where my office is for in person. But yeah, I do offer online. So typically people, the best kind of way to get information and keep updated is on my social media. So Inhale Hypnosis on Instagram and Facebook. And I do have a website, so inhalehypnosis.com. And yeah, just connecting. I offer free consultations, even just to chat. There's never obligation. Some people just have a lot of questions and they're very curious. And I love even those conversations, even if it doesn't mean that somebody's going to book with me right now. And I do offer sessions all over. I offer in Canada and I kind of dipping my toes into international. I'm just figuring out all the actual legal aspects of it, but I have been opening up to that and just kind of allowing whoever comes. I know I've had clients just randomly find me from coast to coast in Canada, so that's been really amazing and kind of humbling too, because I'm just like, oh, I never knew that you'd find my Instagram and you're from Ontario or you're from BC, or it's just really cool to kind of connect and meet people so far and wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hallelujah for Zoom.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Zoom is the best.
That's wonderful. Okay, then we're going to make sure we put all your links and website and everything in our show notes as well for the listeners. So if you're looking for that, you can just go right into our show notes and click away. And now, Kaylee is actually going to grace us with our card pull for the end of our episode. So we like to do just a generic message for those listening. What do they need to hear? And what deck are you using?
The Secret Language of Light
Oh.
by Denise Jarvie. I don't know if I said that right. We're gonna hope I did. Feel like I have a bunch of decks around the house that are all in different spaces, and with trade shows and everything, I've started offering card readings at trade shows, and it's been very neat. So I pulled one, transformation. So it's funny, that's kind of the word that I came in here with and saying that is such a big word, but looking from the outside in. And this card's really speaking to me because it's like a very far galaxy narrowed towards Earth. So allowing just us to be open and susceptible to all those that are coming and knowing that change is scary, but allowing yourself to do the things because the stuff that's on the other side is fully worth it. And just to really harness that, not to be scared of it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
The card always goes with the episode. It's so incredible. That's like the perfect card for the episode.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much. This was so informative. I just absolutely loved this conversation.
Yes, thank you
I
so
did
much
too.
for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad we've made this connection, and I am very excited to see what other people you have on your podcast and listen to all of them while I am driving, probably.
That's the best time to listen to them. High five.
Yes, absolutely. And we probably will connect maybe, soon-ish when I go down the other baby road again.
That'll be exciting. I love
Okay.
that.
Well, thank you very much, and you take care.
Yes.
Guys.
Thank you.
1, 2,